Dare I say it? Corporate video is finally having its moment, yet most brands are still playing it painfully safe. In this episode, Emmy Award-winning storyteller Tony Gnau shows us how to ditch dull scripts and create video content that actually connects. Tony proves that video doesn't have to be flashy to be powerful. It just can't be boring. This is Strategy Talks. I will be right back. Stay tuned.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Strategy Talks. We're so glad you're here, whether you're watching this on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on YouTube. Thank you for joining us live. Now, if you're watching this on the replay, don't forget to put hashtag replay in the comments. And that way, myself and my guest today can see your questions or your comments. Now, for those of you who listen to Strategy Talks as a podcast, I want to welcome you as well. I sure appreciate you tuning in week after week and listening. So without much further ado, I'm going to bring onto the stage with me my friend, Tony. How are you today, Tony?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. This is fun to be here.
I know. It's been a while. You and I connected about almost 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
And we happened to present at the B2B forum in the same room. So I came into your room to see what it was like and then got to experience your session, which really was amazing about corporate video. And I've been wanting to have you on the show. We are finally connected. So here we are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to dive right in, right? So you say, and you argue for this, that emotions, not metrics, should drive video storytelling. Now, what's one emotionally surprising approach that you've used that still delivers measurable results business-wise? And that somebody who's in corporate might be like, no, we don't want to do this, but you're like, yes, we're going to do this.
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, when people hear the word emotions, they automatically jump to making people laugh or making people cry. And what I always tell people is if you can achieve that with your corporate videos, then you get a thumbs up from me and an A+, because it is hard to make people laugh or make people cry in a good way, from your corporate video. So if you can do that, that's fantastic. But I think the thing that people miss out on is that it doesn't need to be big emotions like laughter or making people cry or whatever. We can go after smaller emotions as well. It probably 95% of the videos that we produce, we are simply trying to get people to feel good about the company or organization that is producing that video, or have them feel confident in the product or service that they're offering, something like that. And those are powerful emotions too. If you can make somebody feel good about your company or feel confident in what you're offering, that is extremely powerful. So it is totally fine to kind of go after those smaller emotions because they can be just as effective as anything else.
All right. And I know you and I didn't discuss this in the green room, but I think it's okay. We're going to talk about this. So besides emotions, there's also something that happens when you see a video. There's usually some sort of action. Now, you are literally the living poster man about what happens when you watch a video. Yeah. And then, so you want to tell that story? I wasn't planning on doing that, but as I'm hearing you talk about emotion, I think this really shows something that, had a huge effect on your life, on my life, watching you go through this. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I'll tell you this afterwards, how I knew about the video and why I knew about the video that you're going to talk about.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, it happened back at the end of May in 2024. My family and I took a trip to the Netherlands, just a family vacation. And on day 3 of our vacation, I had a heart attack. And it came completely out of nowhere. I am a pretty healthy guy. I've always eaten a healthy diet. Might have been a little overweight, but nothing extreme by any means. And I've always exercised. I'm a lifelong athlete. So I am not what you would consider a prime target for a heart attack or something like that. But it turns out that I had a whole genetic thing going on that I didn't know anything about. And yeah, so I found myself in the Netherlands, being rushed into an emergency room for an emergency cardiac catheter. And the whole reason that I am here today is because we were staying in an apartment rental in a Verbo, and I started to feel chest pains come on. And I mean, I just thought it was heartburn. I had, you'll appreciate this. I had just tried the Dutch specialty of raw herring, pickles, and onions for my lunch. And I just thought, I'm probably just having it. This American can't hang with this Dutch specialty. And I was just having heartburn. But then all of a sudden my jaw really started to hurt. And all of a sudden the light bulb went on. And I remembered having seen a video produced by the American Heart Association that I had seen at Content Marketing World the previous fall. And I remembered that jaw pain was a sign of a heart attack. And I was like, chest pain, jaw pain? I mean, I can't be having a heart attack, can I? And so we called 911. Which is 112 in Amsterdam, and told them what my symptoms were. They said, we're sending you, emergency services right away. And they got out there and they said, yeah, you're having a heart attack. You need to get into the ER immediately. So we, jumped in the ambulance and we were on our way. But I mean, the crazy thing is that I produce healthcare videos for a living. Like that's what I do professionally. Yeah. And a healthcare video literally saved my life, because had I not seen that video, there is no way I would have called 911. There is no way I would have gone to the hospital. We're on vacation in the Netherlands. I just would have gone to bed and been like, you know what? I'll feel better in the morning. And if I had done that, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Wouldn't have woken up. Yeah. And when I saw you post that, we had connected that previous year, right. In the fall, we had a mutual friend who was at that same conference, Jean-Luc, and he lives in Suriname. And I had gone to Suriname right before, and he had shown that same video because he was at Content Marketing World. He's hosting his own conference in Suriname, and he's passing it on. So the call to action in the video was pass it on, right? So he took that video and showed it to 400 people in the room at his conference, where I watched it. So then when I saw you talk about, the power of the video and recognizing, I'm like, I saw the video. I'll never forget. I now also notice symptoms, but that's kind of how corporate video, that emotional piece, and then having a call to action. I just wanted to share that with everybody, because the irony of the karma, I guess, come back to you, where you produce videos for healthcare that then saved your life. I mean, better, you couldn't have thought it up any better to tell a feel good story that had a happy ending, which is amazing. So let's go into, people produce corporate videos all the time, right? There's all these cliches, executives sitting at desks, talking to cameras. So when and how do you decide as a brand to embrace the humor, the absurdity, or even what you do, Star Wars, like whimsy and brand storytelling?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is that you have to first have an understanding of your culture. Like, I don't want you out there making jokes and, doing stuff like that. If your corporate culture is like very buttoned up or whatever, that's okay. But show what that culture is, make sure people know that about you. And, it's like you can touch emotions in a different way. Like if that's your culture and that's the type of client or customer that you are trying to attract, then hit those buttons, show them how buttoned up you are and what your culture looks like and how professional you are. Like that is an emotion in and of itself that you're tapping into people to show them like, this is the way we are. But on the flip side of that, if you do have a corporate culture, it's kind of loose, it's kind of fun. Like that's the kind of way it is around the office or, whatever the work environment is. Then highlight that, show people that, show them that that's the way you are as a company, because people, your audience looking in from the outside, that's going to be an attractive quality for a lot of people. And it's less about, hey, here's what we offer. Here's our offering to you, because the whole idea is that we all know in marketing that we do business with people that we feel like we know, like, and trust. And the easiest way to get to that trust is to help people so that they feel like they know you, that they know you as a company, that they know your employees, your team members, everything. And the more you can do that, the more you're going to move toward trust. And so it doesn't need to be all about the offer. It can be about the people. It can be about how that offer came to be. The history behind it and why it came about the way it did, whatever it is, you're just trying to tap into people and show them that, hey, there are real people who work here just like you. And that helps you build a connection. And that ultimately is what's going to help you make the sale. I mean, whatever it might be. But, people are really hung up on, here's what we offer, and we're going to give you what our offer is. And they miss out on what video can actually do for them, because everybody else can get that just by clicking in on your website and seeing what the offer is. You don't need a video for that. Video can provide so much more. And so that's what we're really going after. Video isn't about facts and figures. Video is about emotion. And so it's best to figure out a way, tell stories that'll tap into the emotion of your audience.
Oh, I love that. And as I was hearing you talk, I was like, yeah, there's so many brands out there that are still wanting to push their features, their offers, as you called it, instead of the benefits. Right? They forget, to highlight, the transformational piece, and humans can really tell that story much better, of course. But, like say you're selling a sink, you're not selling a new sink that's certain specs. You're selling an updated look to your house and a feel good, like, it's clean and it's new, so you want to really talk about the outcome and the transformation. And that makes a lot of sense. Now, you just said that you've worked extensively in healthcare with your business, T60 Health. What's one bordering on rebellious video asset that you've either used that disrupted expectations, but still build trust or empathy? Do you have an example of something that you've done?
100%. This is probably one of my all-time favorite videos that we've ever produced. Was a video that we weren't even actually asked to do. We were doing a video for a huge health system here in the United States, and they have hospitals in multiple states, all over the country. And what they really wanted to highlight was their company values. And so we were like hitting all of these different hospitals in all of these different states and getting their people to talk about what their values, what the company's values meant to them. And our instructions to all of the different hospitals was, certainly give us your doctors, give us your nurses. I mean, that's what we think of and everything, but don't stop there. We just want people that everybody loves. Like it doesn't matter who they are. It could be the receptionist. It could be, somebody else, in a different department. It could be somebody in accounting, whatever. But we're just looking for people with bright personalities. And so one of the people they gave us, we sat down, we did the interview that we did with everybody else. It was like 5 minutes long, just talking about values or whatever. But they were so good. I just kept asking questions. And after the interview was over, the person, from the health system was like, "You're going to do something just on her, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, we are." So we just went ahead and produced the video and said, "Hey, if you want to pay us for this, that would be great." But we just felt compelled to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing this out because the person that they gave us was the custodian. And so this person just talked about how, what she does is patient care. They have to have a clean room. And so when she goes in to clean that room, she feels like she is a part of this team taking care of this patient. And so she takes it that seriously. And she's happy to talk with them if they feel, that she knows that they're probably nervous. They're in the hospital. So she tries to strike up conversations with them as she's cleaning up the room, make them feel more at ease. And it was just like the message that I think the audience got from the video was, if this is the way the custodian feels at this hospital, can you imagine the type of care that we're going to get from the doctors and the nurses and the frontline people who are actually delivering the care? Yeah. And it was just, it was something that a hospital never would have hired us to do.
Sure.
And probably turned out to be one of the more effective videos than they could have ever asked for. Well, so that's a great example that any company can do. It's, find the people who really make your company, your organization great and feature them. And it doesn't matter what role they're in.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. I was literally getting emotional you telling the story. I'm like, as you go, it's the custodian, and my whole body went, oh, good, yeah. Right? And then you tell, so you got me in the emotion just by telling the story. I haven't watched the video. So that makes total sense, right? If everybody cares from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, if everybody cares, and that shows through that. So you were not just talking about values, you showed values, and that is what you can do with video. So corporate video is often trapped by committee approval, compliance. What tactics have you used to bypass not the suitors, to get a buy-in without, diluting that creative edge that you and your team have?
Sure. First and foremost, if you're simply just getting them to buy into video at all, there's plenty of data out there that we can turn to now in terms of the effectiveness of video. So you can always go looking for that. It's just a quick, Google search away, and you can find tons of stuff. I always find the most effective thing when it comes to selling people on video to begin with is start looking at your competition and see what they are doing. Because if they are producing videos and you are not, then you go to your leaders and you let them know, we're trailing, we're behind. Our competition is already doing this. And look at the effectiveness of video, pull out those stats and show them, we're behind. And so if you want us to catch up to our competition, then we better start doing this. And then on the flip side of that, if they're not doing video at all, you bring them those very same statistics and you say, guess what? We have a chance to pull ahead of the competition. They are slacking on this. This is a competitive advantage for us that we can create by producing videos. And so that's a great way to kind of sell people on it. In terms of the hands-off approach to it, that's a delicate conversation. You can't just, step back. We're the professionals, or we're the, we're the experts on this and leave it alone or whatever. That's never a good approach. What I usually do is I listen to them and I take their opinions into consideration. And first of all, I have, a very firm belief that nobody has a monopoly on good ideas. So Jane in accounting, if all of a sudden she wants input on the video, Jane might have a good idea. So let's listen to it. Let's not be pigheaded and think that we know it all because somebody else might have an opinion that will make the video project better. So that's first and foremost. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Not all opinions are created equal, but I think most of the time what many people just want is just to be heard. And so it's like if you truly give their opinions a listen and consideration, if you then come back to them later and say, hey, we heard your opinion, we really liked what you had to say, here's why it didn't really work for the project, and give them a legitimate explanation, most people are like, okay, that's fine, and they move on. So I think first and foremost, it's genuinely give their opinions consideration. And then if it doesn't, give them a legitimate reason for why not. And sometimes it's not worth picking a fight. Sometimes you just give in and just say, okay, we'll just do it. Like I always sort of take the approach, if it's not going to hurt the video in any way, the effectiveness of the video, then let's put it in if it makes them feel good. Mm-hmm. But if I do feel like, this is going to sidetrack us, this is unnecessary and it might actually derail what we're trying to accomplish, then that's a hard no. But again, it's with explanation and making sure that you have already given them a legitimate listen.
That makes a lot of sense. And I want to circle back to the competitive edge. If you're watching and listening to this, Tony said, bring your competitors if they're already doing it, you're trying to catch up. But I also want to add to that, you also don't want to do what they do. You want to do what they do, but do it better. So that's where you need that creative brain that somebody like Tony has, is like, you want to start doing video like your competitors. But if you do what they do, you are only going to catch up. You're not going to outperform them. Doing the same thing as them is that not necessarily going to put you side by side. So be different, right? Dare to be different. And that's where that creative piece comes in. And I know you talk about that all the time, boring videos. And one of your presentations that I watch, you have the most boring video ever. I don't have all the details, but everybody's watching it like, yeah, we've seen thousands of this, a little drone image. And then, zooming in on something and on the hospital or whatever it is, the building. That's not exciting at all. People, that might be something on your website, but that is not going to convert anybody to anything. It just shows you've wasted a bunch of money on video. I mean, we're all getting smarter to that stuff at this point.
For sure.
Yeah. So, given your experience, so you pivoted from journalism to corporate storytelling, and now there's all these new creators out there, right? Storytellers, content creators, and they have smartphones. Mm-hmm. They find their unique voice. How can you or how can a brand tap into those creators? Are you encouraging at this point corporations to find the storytellers in their organization? Might be a little bit different with healthcare. I know this is in bigger other corporations where, we know the example of the Chick-fil-A employee who was creating beautiful videos, right, who then got fired, got told she couldn't make videos anymore. And then the same thing happened with another brand. And so what do you say to corporations that you work with that you might have found a video creator, or do you stay away from that? Or do you encourage, how do you, in true corporations, how do you talk to a board or, a CEO or C-suite about that piece, that user generated content, the smartphones, the content creators?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that, we all have these terrific cameras in our pockets, in our purses now that, can shoot and help you create great video. And I think companies should actually, should absolutely put it to use. Mm-hmm. If they have somebody within the company that wants to start shooting reels for the social media platform or whatever, go for it. I mean, that is fantastic. That is a terrific resource for you to have in-house. And I think it's fantastic. Foster that kind of creativity within your organization. You never know what results might come of it. and keep this in mind, like somebody that might be a little nervous about it, our corporate image and, whatever that might be. Well, you have ultimate control whether or not you put that video out into the world. It's not like you're giving this person, just carte blanche, just produce the video and put it out there and slap our name on it. And we don't have any say over it. If they produce something that you're not comfortable with, then you just simply don't share it. It's okay. And I mean, make sure to share with that person why, and encourage them to keep producing videos, but maybe with some guidelines attached to them. We want to make sure that we're doing this with our corporate voice or our company voice, whatever it might be. But yeah, foster that creativity. It's fantastic. And usually what I tell, companies and organizations is that the closer your videos get to conversion, the more you want them to be done by a professional. So for example, like right now, what we're talking about are like, social media reels and everything. That is very, top of the funnel type stuff. If we're going to put it into a funnel or a flywheel or whatever, that is, the awareness stage. And yes, absolutely. Produce those in-house, DIY those videos. And that is fantastic. I'm all for it. But as you start getting closer to conversion, you're producing an about us video for the company. You're producing videos that are hitting on your product or service lines. You're doing customer testimonials with people, and we're getting closer to getting that, potential customer to convert. We want those to be professional videos. We want professional storytellers telling those stories and have a real eye and a knack for that sort of thing. So the closer you get to conversion, that's when you want professional videos. The further away you are from it, absolutely DIY those videos. Let your own people have some fun with it. And fostering that type of creativity, I mean, I'm telling you, it's only going to probably improve what they do in their regular jobs on a regular basis, because now they're totally psyched about the company that they're working for that's letting them foster this creativity. They're going to like dive into it even more for you. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then, as far as, you're like, okay, if they produce video and hand it to you, you can make that distinction, whether I want to share it or not as a corporation organization. But if they go rogue and they do it on their own, if they're complementary, you should still embrace it. Doesn't mean you need to share it, but you should acknowledge it and probably forge a collab with them versus telling them, no, I want you to stop, which is what some of the organizations were doing, telling them they couldn't make any more videos. No,
I mean, if you have an actual customer or client or somebody who's just, is a brand ambassador, just loves your brand, and they have, come in to produce a video for you, and you had no idea that they were doing it or anything, and you see it and you're like, I don't know if it's the best thing for us to share or, whatever, then, sit down with them and first and foremost, thank them. Wow, I can't believe you love our company so much that you would do this. Thank you. That is amazing. We would love to share it, but here's why we don't think it's a good idea. And let them know. And then once you tell them that, say, but you know what? If you want to do another video for us, like you just mentioned, we would love to collaborate with you. We'd love to give you some guidance in terms of our guidelines that we follow here in-house for videos. And if you want to do something more along those lines, but with your own spin and your own creativity, we would love that and try to foster a relationship with them.
That's awesome. We are almost at time. I have one quick question.
Sure.
Somebody's watching this. They're working for a big brand, big organization, and they have 0 videos, not on their website, not on their social. What is the first video they should consider producing?
It depends. If they don't have any budget at all and they're like, hey, we just really kind of need to dip our toe in the water and test this, produce a reel. Produce a 15-second reel that you can put on social media that you can do right there. You can pick up your own phone and do it. It is not a difficult thing to do. There's maybe a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. So dip your toe in it. Just do it like that. Just start with one 15-second reel. That's a great way to get started. Now, if you have a little bit of budget that you want to, work with, The About Us video is the video that I tell everybody to start with because it's the most versatile. You know, when you think about your customer journey, the journey somebody takes to becoming a customer or a client or whatever, you can literally use it in any phase that they are in. The About Us video is super, super effective. And it just tells people who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And the why is a really important part of that equation there. But the About Us video is a great video to start with if you have some budget and you're going to hire pros.
Perfect. Tony, where can people connect with you? Where are you most active?
Well, they can always connect with me at tonygnau.com. That's TonyGnau is how you spell my last name. So tonygnau.com. Or t60health.com is fine as well. If somebody needs a healthcare video, feel free to get in touch.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here with me today. It was a great conversation about brand videos. You want more information, connect with Tony. I'll also put his LinkedIn profile in the show notes, so that way you can connect with him as well as his website. Thank you so much for being with us today for another episode of Strategy Talks. I'll be next week with more Strategy Talks. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.